Welcome to a video where I can help you figure out if you need a game in 10 minutes or less, so stick around and let me prove it. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. My name is miahtheking, and my wife asked me if I'd seen the Dog Bowl, and I said I didn't know we could. Now then, thank you for deciding to stick around. Today we're taking a look at a game just released on Steam called Sector Unknown, an isometric sci-fi RPG developed and published by Creative Storm Entertainment, released in early access and selling for $25. So what even is this game, and is it even worth it? Also, keep in mind as we go forward that not only is this in early access, but it was designed by one person. At least I believe so. It says solo developed, so yeah. Anyway, good for them! So basically, in this game you play a prisoner aboard a ship for the Star Frontier, a powerful mega-corporation who basically runs everything in space. You escape and then begin the construction of your own empire to fight against this mega-corporation. And no, I'm not joking. Legit, you are setting up bases, conquering planets, recruiting specialized individuals and agents, while grabbing war loot and war resources to fund your war effort against them. There's space travel, turn-based combat, and lots of skills and dialogue choices, but we'll get into all that later. For now, let's dive into what I liked and didn't like about the game. First thing up is what I liked, and overall, I like the sound quality. The sound effects sound exactly the way you want them to, from like the laser gun sounds to opening random crates. The sound effects are just great. The music is really good too. It's not like super groundbreaking or anything, but it's legit not bad, and sounds great depending on the mood, and so far fit the current themes present depending. I liked listening to it, basically. Next up is the gameplay. This has almost all good. I really can't think of a lot of bad for the gameplay, and boy howdy was I trying. It's fairly simple. You control your customizable character and traverse throughout the story. There's base building, research, war effort mechanics where you can donate resources to the war effort to improve your war score, which will make impacts throughout the story, and dialogue choices, which by the way there are dialogue choices, skills and talents you need to grab to specialize your character. There's research and upgrades to both your base, ship, and even your crew. There's so much depth here to the game and so much to do here that I struggle to describe it all accurately. Let me try to sum it up as best as I can. It's an isometric RPG, so you kind of get the gist of what's going on in terms of the gameplay, right? With the camera angles, the loot, the skills, etc. But then it has the base building, the ship upgrades, the war score, the dialogue, and the recruiting of people or factions or even planets to join your rebellion. Every aspect has a lot of attention to detail with a plethora of options. Hell, in the beginning level it gives you like a dozen different opportunities for how to deal with getting off the ship. It was insane the amount of choice I had and the freedom that I was given. The turn-based combat might be the only problem I have with this game. However, even then, it's only kinda boring, which is a shame. Everyone just kinda stands in a pile and fires randomly. This is combat in a nutshell. And sure, you can change it up a little bit by giving some people melee weapons, but for the most part, what you're seeing here will be the majority of your gameplay experience. I'm not too sure how they could improve it. I guess my thought process, my suggestion might be to slow down combat just a little bit and take it away from the turn-based, you know, kind of have it like the Pathfinder games without the turn-based function, you know, just everyone attacking randomly on their own without having to wait. With laser guns like this, if you give everyone like a 10-second cooldown on their attack, then it might actually be a bit more fun and engaging, but overall I think the only downside is that the combat was just a bit awkward and a little boring. But everything else here was designed with massive amounts of creativity and drive to give us a specific feel, and it worked really well for the most part. Next up for the positives is the writing quality. Not once did I think this was badly written, cringy, or entirely misspelled or having horrible grammar. For the most part, everything was written fairly well. I was never really lost or confused, and it was fairly easy to follow along with the character personalities, which by the way were pretty good too, or the overall plot or whatever I was doing at the moment. Even the explanation of certain aspects in the gameplay was written fairly well, which is a good sign going forward in the game's story, which kind of leads me to my next positive point, the tutorial. So yeah, it's not bad. It's not too wordy or confusing, it's not in your face or mandatory, and for the most part it does its job of teaching you what's what, why, when, how, etc. without being super confusing, lengthy, or overall uselessly annoying. Sorry about that. And the last thing I'd like to point out positively for the game is the price tag. I mean, when I think about all the functions included in this game, the length of play, the replayability possibilities, the overall size and scale of this game, and all I can think about is how appropriate that price tag is. I think it's perfectly priced for what it is, a large, in-depth RPG in early access. Perhaps, when the game is fully realized and finished, and perhaps if given some more production value, like cutscenes and voice actors and whatnot, it could even go up to $40, but for right now, that price tag is downright perfect. But that's all I can think of positively to say about the game, and now I gotta go into the negatives. But before that, I'd like you to consider helping the growth of my channel. I'm trying really hard to get to 5,000 subs, and while that might not seem like a lot to most of you out there, it's a lot to me, and I'd really appreciate any help you could provide. Also, I do this channel and these videos to try to help the gaming community, both the devs and the players, but these videos can't help you unless you're notified in time to see them, so make sure you hit that notification button down below the video so you'll always be informed, alright? Alright, now we gotta move on to the things that I didn't like about the game. Now, the game's user interface is supremely annoying. It's hard to navigate, hard to understand, hard to manage. In your inventory, everything looks oddly similar without any real signifiers of what's what without you having to manually look at each one for the tooltip to tell you what it is. It's also lacking in a lot of information, such as what these 2 slots are, or why I can't equip 2 weapons, or why I can't equip 2 items, or whatever. Like, the inventory management of your character, their equipment management, is very lacking, as is the rest of the inventory management. And that goes for lots of things. Handling inventory, looting, managing characters, managing menus, the list goes on. It's all very badly organized and not at all streamlined, which is going to make your entire adventure more annoying as you have to figure this shit out seemingly every single time, because there's just so much shit that you'll forget something that you learned an hour ago so you could learn something else. Basically, I hated the user interface and really hope it gets cleaned up a bit, maybe a bit more organized, and please, 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 I am begging you, game dev, please increase the size of the text. I've got perfect vision, and I increased the size to the max you would allow, and I was still having difficulty reading and understanding everything. When you've got 3 paragraphs of text, followed by 6 run-on sentence responses, it starts to get really difficult to read through it comfortably when the text is so damn small. So please, please, please increase the size of the text throughout your game. It was the biggest annoyance for me while playing. The second biggest annoyance for me while playing was the stability. Now, the game's in early access. I understand that. So the constant freezing and the constant frame rate drops I could understand, and possibly even maybe forgive. What I can't forgive is the game-breaking bugs. These are not okay because they could destroy your game's release and should have been squashed before releasing the damn thing, even in early access. What I'm going to show you now is when I first try to go into space. And it crashes. So unfortunately, I was never able to see what the space travel and space combat is like. And you might be wondering why I didn't go back and try again. Well, that's simple. What you're seeing now is me trying to load my save file, and I can't. The game keeps crashing every time I try to reload my save. So against my own will and my own wishes, I was forced to stop playing here. For 2 reasons. The first is, the game won't even let me keep playing. And that's a problem. And the second is because if my save files aren't safe, then even if I manage to get it to work, then any amount of time I put into this game in the future would be absolutely wasted and not guaranteed save because the save file is messed up and I'm not about that. So this is ridiculous and needs to be fixed immediately. However, I will say that those are really the only 2 things I could think of that I didn't like about the game, the stability and the UI. Everything else about the game was pretty damn good. I do wish there was voice acting and cutscenes. Also, I'd appreciate more lore. I don't know anything about this universe, even after playing for this long. So, you know, I'd like to know more about it, and so maybe add some stuff in there about what this universe's deal even is. But yeah, I think it's a really good game. So what is my recommendation? Currently, pass. Pass on it, hard pass. With those game-breaking bugs in play, I'd highly encourage you to just add it to your wish list and wait for a patch or an update or something. In its current state, it's unplayable up to a certain, or it's playable up to a certain point, and then it becomes broken and unplayable. Even the FPS drops started getting a lot more detrimental around this time. The game was freezing a lot more frequently around this time. I think the game has great potential and could end up being something really good. It could be a really, really good game one day, but I think it's just a bit too early right now with how unstable it is. It's a great concept, great ideas, great gameplay, except for the combat. That needs to be tweaked a little bit. And overall, it does a lot of things really well, but unfortunately, that damn stability ruins any chance of me recommending this game. Maybe in 6 months, it'll be a little bit better. But right now, save your money and wait. Keep an eye on it, though, because it does have some great potential. All right? Alright, so that's all the time I got for this video, everybody. Thanks so much for watching, with a special thanks to those of you who stuck around to the end. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you all farewell.